Hello and welcome back to our series on Thrive. So, this week we're going to talk specifically about Christmas and how you can use the Thrive techniques throughout the holidays for times when you may be struggling. So, some of us may be looking forward to Christmas. Some of us, this might be a really difficult time of year, but doubtless for most of us, it's going to be a much different time of year than we may have expected. Um, and there can be lots of pressure this time of year on having a particular type of Christmas, a happy, stress free, family friendly, but maybe not entirely realistic Christmas for the most of us. And whatever kind of day you are planning, it's important to make sure that that's okay to your standards and not to anyone else's standards or expectations. And it can also be helpful this time of year to think about our video from last week on positivity. And the takeaway from that video, really, for me anyway, is that to focus on the things that you can do, the positives, rather than to focus on the things that you can't do or the negatives. And I know, Lizzie, you have some suggestions around what we can do this year.
Yeah, so I think, like you said, Becca, it can be really helpful to focus on this year, what we can do rather than what we can't do, and to maybe think about what we can do differently this year. And I guess I was just taking a moment to think about what I can do differently. And some of the ideas that I came up with were things like really making the most of Zoom, the kind of online video call software, so we can still stay connected to the people that we care about. Another thing I'd thought of was maybe sending Christmas cards to people who have dropped off our kind of usual list of people that we send them to. Maybe to meet people outside for some wintry walks with a takeaway hot drink, and even things like just doing a tour of your town to see the Christmas lights. So really, just thinking about things that we can do this year to make the most of this time.
They sound like good plans. And I think communication is key as well, isn't it, this time of year? Thinking now and talking to people that you'd normally see now about making plans what you want to do. Because I think we're all taking slightly different approaches to risk at the moment. And for me, it's about accepting that and sort of working with it and planning around it. Um, Usually I spend Christmas with my folks, but this year we won't be. But we are planning post-vaccine. We're going to have a big barbecue and we're going to have a Christmas tree no matter what, even if it's midsummer. So that's something nice that we've got planned to look forward to. And it's also okay to be on your own, that's fine. And I think for me, Christmas, it just has a bit less emphasis than it does other years.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point there, Mary, about communication. Is that's the really important bit for Christmas, and that's sometimes the most difficult bit around Christmas as well, is that connection with other people. And if you are struggling with that this year, or if you find yourself feeling lonely around the Christmas or because of Christmas, then there are helplines out there that are still open. So most of us will have heard of Samaritans and the service that they offer, but there's still helplines like Call, which is a Welsh national helpline that's open 24/7. We will link those helplines in a post below in the comments. And there's also, if you go to our website, there's an emergency contact page there as well, which has all different kinds of numbers that you can call out of service hours if you are struggling. And another big part of Christmas for most of us, as well as that communication and connection, is Christmas dinner. But if you are spending that day alone, then cooking a big Christmas dinner might not seem worthwhile or enjoyable, And there are services out there that are offering delivery of Christmas dinners on Christmas Day. Obviously, that depends on where you are. So our best advice there is to check with your local community connector what kind of things are available in your area. And again, we're going to post the details for the community connectors in the comments below.
Yeah, I think it's if you're not feeling at your best mentally this Christmas, it's really important to remember to be kind to yourself. I think a lot of the time Christmas can become about other people, about children a lot of the time, about meeting those kind of expectations about what an ideal or a good Christmas is. But if you're not feeling your best, maybe have a think about what you can do that can help you during this time. So it might be things like planning to take some time to yourself, thinking about how you can gain some control over how you spend your time and what you do. Maybe planning your days in advance over the Christmas period can be helpful. Having a little think about what activities you can do to keep yourself busy. And thinking also about who you can talk to, and maybe having those numbers to hand that Becca mentioned. And I think around Christmas, we sometimes worry about people who might be spending it on their own, or who might be lonely at Christmas. But I think it's important to remember, if you do want to spend Christmas on your own and take some time to yourself, go ahead, do that, do what is right for you. Everyone's picture of their ideal Christmas is completely different, and I think it's important to think about what's right for you, and like I said, just to be kind to yourself.
Really key. Yeah, I think if you are spending lots of time with family, or planning to this year, for me, I need to bear in mind that I haven't practiced my social skills very much this year. I'm probably rusty at it. So I do need to be mindful of, if I'm suddenly going to spend lots of time with people, that I will need to also plan time for myself within that, because it will feel quite strange and different after the year we've been through.
I think this might sound a little bit bar humbug, but I think if we're trying to keep mentally well over the Christmas period, something to think about might be how much we're eating and how much we're drinking. And of course, a lot of us will want to let off steam over the Christmas period and really indulge. But actually, just take a moment to think, is that helping to keep you mentally well? I know for myself, if I drink too much alcohol, or if I eat too much kind of naughty food, actually that doesn't do my mental health any good, and I end up feeling quite low, or quite anxious, quite lethargic and tired. And everybody's different, that your body might not respond in that way, but I think it's key to know yourself, know your body, know how you respond to alcohol or indulgent food. And just everything in moderation, really. So enjoy it, but know what works for you.
Yeah, and you made a good point there, Lizzie, about triggers and knowing your triggers, and those can be food related, and they can also be situational, and it's important, like you say, to take steps to either avoid them or reduce them, or just simply reduce your contact with them over the Christmas period. And if you can, it can be helpful to identify your coping mechanisms that you've used previously. Think to yourself, well, I've got through this before, but how did I get this through this before? What did I do that was helpful? Can I do that again? It's important to take that time to, safeguard yourself in that sense. Is, if you need time out, take time out. If you need to stop drinking, then stop drinking. If you need to just take some time out from eating the heavier foods that we eat over the Christmas, then it's just important to look after yourself. And another way we can do that is by sharing the burden. If there is a particular aspect of the holidays that is worrying you, talk to your friends or your family about them, or tell people how you feel. Don't keep that to yourself.
For me, I know that I do plan lots of treats this Christmas for myself, but I know that I'm okay if I can balance that. So I will mitigate that with lots of dog walks. That's my plan anyway. And I know we hear this an awful lot, but it is just a day, Christmas, and not having the ideal day that you want. It isn't a bad life, or a bad year, or even a bad week. And we can still make it nice. And we can also plan things for the future too. And talking about the future, we do have our latest training schedule out at the moment for courses between January and April. So there's loads of different courses on there. If you're interested, have a look at our Facebook page. And we'll all be back in January for a new video on the 12th. So have a lovely holiday period. Take care. Bye.